Queen of Ithaca. She is Odysseus' wife and the mother of Telemachus. That part is all correct. For the most part, the story that he weaves is also correct. He mentions that there were a lot of suitors at the house. They were eating the wealth of the palace, draining Ithaca of their money, and that they all want to marry her. But every night she's weaving her marriage shawl, and then at night she unweaves it, so it never gets finished. He mentions that as well in there. She also mentions that she's heard that everyone else has come home from Troy already, but Odysseus is away. Who knows what he's doing? She has no idea. She's kind of worried that he might have found another woman a little bit.
Or all the sirens.
Yeah, or all the sirens. Maybe he's trapped on an island somewhere with lots of women. Who knows? And then, so she sent out Telemachus for some info, which we found out was not exactly accurate. Telemachus went to go get info himself and didn't want his mother to know about this. So there's a discrepancy there. In the Odyssey, she's always mentioned as a very faithful person. She's kind of the pillar of wifely faithfulness. But in this story, she's pretty angry at Odysseus, and she does point out that there are a lot of men who are trying to marry her. So a little hint, nudge, nudge to Odysseus there. But in the end, she does stay faithful to Odysseus. So he's overall accurate in his presentation of the myth.
Okay, does Ovid appear genuinely sympathetic specifically to the woman's point of view at all times? Well, first of all, he's created a point of view that doesn't agree with the Odyssey. Penelope is a very strong woman in the Odyssey, and here in Ovid's story, she's weak. She, several times here, she alludes to that. She says, and a wife with no strength cannot fight, but that's not the image that the Odyssey gives of Penelope. She's a very strong woman, and a little later on, he said, she again in Ovid's story says, "Nor am I a woman strong enough to drive these villains out of your kingly hall." Well, the Odyssey depicts Penelope as just as cunning as Odysseus was. She's the perfect complement to him. So in that case, I would say that he's not a feminist because he's not making her look strong, he's making her look weak. And so in this way, he is mocking her. And is she justified in ending up in her situation? No. When she finally did reunite with Odysseus, she told him, "It's not your fault and it's not my fault. It's the gods who have done this." So I think that he's tampered with the book a little too much, especially a book like the Odyssey, which was really an inspired sacred book to the Greeks, and Penelope was a role model for other women, and I think he should have left it that way.
All right, so to kind of jump in a little bit on my question. So basically, my question was, did she deserve what she got? And I agreed. I think most of us agreed that she didn't deserve any of the things that happened to her, because in her letter she seemed very innocent. She was just worried and afraid that her husband was out dying somewhere in the garden for life somewhere. But yeah, I didn't think she deserved it, because no one knew that Odysseus was going to take 10 years to come back. And who knows? The story was that when he did come back, he didn't come back as Odysseus. He came back as a beggar to see if she was still faithful. So it took a whole bunch of time for her to actually see Odysseus again. So in my point of view, and I think all of our point of views, she didn't deserve ultimately her place that she got. So she'll be stand.
And in regards to being a typical love letter, I wouldn't say no, because it's not like in the whole letter she's stating her feelings like about love and stuff like that, but in her own way she's complaining to him about asking him where he is and what's taking so long, and that's her way of telling him that she loves him and that she misses him. And the whole basically it's all about her complaining, and then she mentions that that she's been waiting and faithful, and there's all these suitors in her palace, and she's still faithful to him, even though her father tells her to move on, her stepfather tells her to move on. And but in reality, it's not a typical love letter, and she does remain faithful because she waits 20 years for him to come back, and she's faithful, which is which doesn't happen anymore. But and I don't think that he's playing to humor, because he makes her seem like she's worried the whole time, wondering where he was, where he is, and what he's doing and all that stuff. So I would say it's more of her being scared for him and wondering what happened to him. So I wouldn't say it's him playing to humor.
All set? Thank you very much.